Namaste, Raghuram.
Namaste.
Namaste, Raghuram ji. Namaste, Anita. Namaste, all.
Namaste. Am I audible?
Yes, Raghuram ji. We can start, Raghuram ji. It's
Yes.
live.
Right. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanam Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All that what we do, discussions, analysis, and understanding everything, is from the wakeful state only. Other states seem to be irrelevant. Almost like for a long time, people considered only the wakeful state was there, and the other states were never considered to be important for us in the life. But Vedanta has taken it important not only from the point of view of the states of existence are there, but that states of existence of other experiences that we have lead to a much deeper truth. That is the idea which this Upanishad gives us the analysis of these three states and the fourth state. These three states are experienced, but the fourth state is not an experience. But it looks like that it conjure, but it's not that imagination, but it's something that tries to give us the lead into the idea of what is called as the whole universe as one unit. When we say Brahman, when we say that there is one force in the universe, one thing that is behind all these things, that's what is Brahman. And that itself, today we can call it as consciousness. People call it as consciousness. And it includes both actually manifest and unmanifest. Both these things are there. In that sense, it is only one as no second thing. That is what is basically Advaita. Dvaita means second, not being there, is Advaita. That means second is not there, means other things are also following. Division is not there. And this, our Indian culture, Sanatana Dharma projected it, presented it, ideas, much before the Western philosophers or the thinkers arrived at this particular idea. Even till today, it is more like a logical, intellectual idea that they have, that there is one basis of all this creation that is there. But Indian philosophy, it is always said that it is basically the experience of the person when Rishi has gone to that experience, that there are no two things, there is only one. Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atma Brahma, Soyam Atma Chaturshpat. So when he talks about all these things, he's talking from his experience. And the Upanishads are there to explain logically, giving some analogy, etc., etc. That's what they try to do it. So here, when we look at the creation, as far as that we see that the most complex personality in the most complex being in this creation is supposed to be is the human being, because he spans from the physical body right up to the consciousness level, right up to the intellect level that we have just spoken. But beyond that intellect, he is there. That's why intellect is something that he uses. We know that very clearly, that there is something which is to transcend the intellect. Beyond that, you reach the self. And that self is supposed to be Brahman. So therefore, that a human being is supposed to be somebody who spans from the gross to the subtlest and beyond that. So that's the reason why even the God concept is also something which is of the nature of a human being, so something which is beyond. That's the reason why this is the whole creation is nothing but one Vaishwanara. That means to say it is the Vishwa, the whole creation as one unit when you look at it. Saptangaha, there are 7 different angas that are there. And that's what in one of the places that Chandogya Upanishad mentions it, that heaven is supposed to be the head, and the sun is the eyes, and wind, prana, is supposed to be the directions, and sky is the waist, and water is uh, the defecation, urination kind of a thing, and the death is the feet, and the fire, ahavani yajna, is supposed to be the mouth. Like that, they have given a picture of it. And why they have given that picture, there is some logic because of which that Chandogya Upanishad puts it. But it is basically whatever that is there outside, in the way that imagine that it is supposed to be a human being, and then there you see all these things. Sun is there, you see the sky is there, and you see this space, that's what is heaven. So where all these activities come. So that's what is basically the human form of the universe that is there. This is what is Vaishwanara. And that's comparable to human being. Now, why he is comparing it to what is the advantage that we have with the human being and comparable to the material world outside or the creation world outside? You see that everything in the creation has what is called as a gross manifest world, and then not gross but manifest world. Both these things are there. As I said, inside the seed, the whole plant is there. Manifest is there. That means to say it knows what exactly has to, what is the kind of plant it is, what it is. All those things are there. It is actually manifest. Only thing is, it is not gross. That means to say it's not available for any of the senses or instruments and all that, but it exists in the form of a seed. The same way, in the case of the womb, the child is there in the womb. It's just like one small little cell that is there, but it grows into the big human being. But everything is there contained in that cell. And in the form, in what form it is there? It is in the subtle form. So when you look at this way, that the whole creation and including human being is also included in that, you see that there is the gross and subtle is there. And that is what theoretically that we can see outside. And the subtle is not enough. The subtle has all the impressions from which that subtle comes into the picture. So therefore, there is what is called as causal, from which everything comes up. That means to say, even the subtle also manifest, but unmanifest level, but all the ideas are there in the unmanifest level, and that's supposed to be the causal state. And gross, subtle, causal, that's what in the nature that we could see. And behind that is Brahman, because Brahman is something which is much beyond this manifest world. Gross, subtle, and causal is supposed to be within the purview of the manifest world we are looking at. But he is far beyond that. How many different manifest worlds can exist in him? That's why it is called. That's Purnaha, that's fullness, and this is also fullness. So, including both these things are included in this Sutra Upanishad. It says that Purnamadaha Purnavedam. And the connection between these two is Purnat Purnamudachyate. And this manifest world comes from that unmanifest Purnatva, Brahman. So therefore, they are the same thing. That is what extent. What is the basic difference between these two? The basic difference is that's what is Achala, Nischala, that's no movement. But here, this one, causal, when gross, subtle, causal, is something which is constantly moving. That means to say, from the subtle, from the causal, becomes a subtle, and from subtle, it becomes a gross. And we can see that also that we have the knowledge within us, and the knowledge we takes in the form of an imagination within us, and then we it comes to the manifestation when we do an activity. Like the very simple thing is I want to do some activity, and that activity related knowledge, everything is there in the background, and that's what is causal. And from that causal that I create, I need these things and all those things. In imagination, that I create the whole thing. In imagination, I make the whole thing. And then from the imagination that I come to the manifest level. So you see, your own experiences from the causal to the subtle to the gross level, that we can do that. And there's a continuous process that we are doing it all the time. So we have all these three things, like the way that we do it in a small little way, and then Brahman is doing it the colossal way, at the totalistic way. That's the only difference. So that's why in one of the places in another context, Shastra says that you look into yourself and the same thing that you can understand about the whole creation of the universe itself. It is like the way it says that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives that example. When you want to find out whether the rice is cooked in the pot, you don't fry the whole rice. You just take one representative grain and see that if it is cooked, that means the whole rice is green. So that means you are the sample of this, and you can be a wonderful sample because it's in your own experience. And your experience is something which, not by senses, you're not going to the world outside, going inwards. So in that sense, we have within us these three different states. And that's what is the description. He says that gross world is there. That's what is Vaishvanara, Sthula Bhuku. And then here, all that all these things are there. Ekonavimshati Mukha, Sthula Bhuku, Vaishvanara. This is what we have. Our own manifest world outside. But here, I'm interacting with the world outside. In what way I interact with the world? I see that whatever that is useful for me, I take it and move ahead. What is not useful for me, I just leave it alone. I don't want to unnecessarily hate it or disturb it, reject it or anything. That I just leave it alone. A simple example is that banana. I take it, I peel the peel, and then throw the peel into the dustbin, and then eat the banana. What is useful, I take it. What is not useful, I leave it. The same thing I can do with all the senses. 19 mouths. Mouths are that where the object goes inside. And therefore, that basically that whether I hear something, whether I see something, my eyes are also mouth, my smell says nose is also a mouth. So like that, not only these things, my intellect is also something that intellectualizes something which is useful, or it is not useful, just leave it alone. My memory, my mind, everything, I keep something which is useful for me. The rest of it, I leave it. A very simple truth, very simple way that you can apply in the day-to-day life. This is what is Thola Bhuku. This is what is gross world when you are interacting with this world. But I see that there is a subtle world also behind it. And that subtle world, I see that I said that in the seed it is there, and in the womb, when the child in this the primary cell, that all those things are there. But within us also that you can see that you have a subtle world, which is supposed to be the dream world. Your dream world has all the characters that the subtle world in the manifested world manifest but unexpressed kind of a subtle world is there. Same thing it is there. Like for example, I have people, I have various things and all that. All that I created in my dream. And then I only see the dream. That means to say, I can see the subtle level, but it cannot be manifest in the world outside. Therefore, the others cannot see it. It is my private world. And there I created. So I'm a creator. As much as the creator is there, I'm also a creator. And then I produce these things for my satisfaction. Therefore, it is Pravivikta Bhuku. It's for my satisfaction. What is that satisfaction that I get? I have some suppressed kind of feelings and emotions that are there. I do manifest that so that I can get that satisfaction by dreaming. Dream is very important. Dream is scavenger. It takes away all those things. So that also gives another idea, very important idea, that subtle world, that is what is the dream world. Importance is basically that the in the subtle world, dream world, the emotion is more important, the feeling is important, bhavana is important, rather than the object outside. Object outside is what we just gather, but bhavana is very important. Like for example, I have a fear, and I create objects which are suitable to that fear. Similarly, I have a anger and a suitable object that I collect to see that anger is created. Again, he says that these objects that I create, again from the same way, that whatever that is sthula world, that is gross world that we collect, the same thing Sukshma world also has all those things that is there. Prithvi, Apa, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, whatever that is there outside is also there inside in the Sukshma way. And then we collect that. Why bring I draw the parallel between these two is that even in the dream, if I touch a fire, I feel burning. If I jump from a height and I feel it is hurting. So therefore, but in the stills, whatever the gross world happens on the stool, in the subtle world also it happens the same way. So that's why in some places that the dream world is very similar to the wakeful world. There's no difference between that. All those things are there in the dream world. But then only thing is it's pravivikta is only for you that you see that. And Tejasaha, it is made out of Tejo Matra. That means to say basically the emotion that is there is create all these things. But apart from that, we also have what is called as deep sleep, dreamless sleep. And today scientists also finds out that you touch the dreamless sleep state, and it's very important. And that's what the description he gives about the dreamless sleep. Yatra supto. Only thing is that the dreamless sleep state describes only the form of negative way. Because there is nothing. How else can you describe? Only thing is that this is not there, that is not there. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate. That means the kama that is there in the wakeful state. It does not exist. Nakanchana kamam kamayate. Not an iota of kama is there. That means desire or mind activity is there. Nakanchana swapnam pashyati. And the swapna activity, dream activity, subtle activity also is not there. Yatra supto nakanchana kamam kamayate, nakanchana swapnam pashyati. That's sushupta. That's what is sushupti sthana. And sushupti sthana eki bhutaha. Now, all these things that are there in the wakeful and dream states, that varieties of things are there, places are there, time is there, so many things are there. But the moment that you go to the deep sleep state, there all these things merge into one unit, one form. I mean, formless state. And that's what is eki bhutaha. Bhuta means basically that which is created. But eki bhuta, that means it's just one. It's not that you see it as one, because basically that even that seeing one is also offering two things. So therefore it is eki bhuta. Only oneness is there. And prajnana ghana. This is a very important word, prajnana ghana, is that there are emotions, there are ideas which are there. My awareness is there about various things in the wakeful state and the dream state. And what happens in the dreamless sleep state is that everything becomes ghana, means basically the one single force, pressure, one single content. And that is what ghana swarupa means, that is solidified, and since that it has no more expressions there. In fact, our own we can see that prajnana ghana experience in our normal day-to-day life also, that when too many problems are there, too many things are actually you are bothered about, you get into a state of stupefied. That means to say, you just don't know what to do it. You are really got into a state of, what we call it as hibernation kind of a thing. That means there is nothing that there are so many calamities, there are so many things that happened, then you go to that state. In fact, it happened like this, of my own experience, that after the tsunami, tsunami affected so many the islands in this Andaman area, and then a lot of people were displaced, a lot of people were affected by the tsunami. So we were a team, and then I went to psychologically support them. I was there for about 15 days in Andaman. At that time, I was meeting with the people who met with that tsunami. Can you just believe it that there was one lady and she came to me and which is the island that you come from? She forgot the island where she comes from. He said the tsunami came, I was thrown away somewhere from where and then I found out myself to be here. People have brought me here. So she was like that. And we asked her, what about her family, children, all that? I don't remember. I might have had, I think I remember sometimes she said, I have 3 children. Said, no, I have only one child. Nothing is really there. It means basically the whole thing is stupefied. Prajnana Ghana. So we have similarly said, when you go to the exam, you are simply overwhelmed by the whole thing. In the interview, you can't even say anything. And yeah, examiner say, relax, take water, and then you can come back again. Answer the questions. So you have answers, but only thing is that you're stupefied. A teacher who recognizes that is the right kind of a teacher. Otherwise, that he will say that you failed, but that's not the way. So therefore, this prajnana ghana is a state where your system does not function anymore because it is overwhelmed by the object outside. So that all that is there will go into the ghana sthiti. Ghana sthiti is basically it's a solidified state. It does not have any expressions. And the example what Vivekananda gives is very beautiful. When the fan is moving at a very high speed, then you see the fan is not moving at all. It looks as if that it is not moving at all. That is what is the state of prajnana. The speed is there. All that what we need to is to see that when we wake up, when we come out of it, then that expression comes out. So what I'm trying to say is that there's this prajnana ghana state is there. Many times we come across in the wakeful state also. There's not only the deep sleep state, but it is the state where that your system just, today's in computer language is hangs up. Now it is hanging up. Everything is hanged up there. So hang up. So nothing is working. You give relax to it, you stop it. And so that stopping is going to sleep. And you sleep for a while and then sleep irons out all the differences and then you come back. So therefore it says Eki Bhuta Prajnana Ghanaha and Eva Anandamayaha. In the normal course of time, when we go to the deep sleep state, Anandamayaha. That means to say you have become yourself Ananda. Normally, our experience of Ananda is something where sensory object and sensory organ getting together, that you have the experience of Ananda. When these two things are together, then you get the experience of Ananda. In the deep sleep state, the very fact shows that Eki Bhuta, that means all the senses have become one unit, and all that experiences, that means object that is there, become Prajnana Ghana. So when both these things have become like solidified, then there is no question of experience being there. And that is what when experience merge into just only the experience. And that's what is Ananda. Normally what happens is that we have an experiencer and experienced, and then in between that a process of experience is there. But in Prajnana, only the process of experience is there, which is supposed to be Ananda. That's why he says Ananda Maya. You see, until that we know very clearly about Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. See, these are the things which are there, made out of. And there it is Ananda Maya. That means we are made out of Ananda itself, Ananda Maya. Not only that, see Anandamaya and then Ananda Bhuku. Now this is again like the way that in the wakeful state, Stula Bhuku, Pravivikta Bhuku, here Ananda Bhuku. That means to say you nourish because of Ananda. In other words, that you are touching your own state called as Ananda, That's what is the nourishment. In fact, in another Upanishad, it says that in Taittiriya Upanishad, if man were not to be touching that Ananda, which is his own nature, he would not have been surviving. So, Kohye Vanyaka Pranyat, Yadesha Akash Anando Nasyat, if we did not have that Ananda as our own experience, we would not have been surviving. So, Ananda Mukhu, Cheto Mukha, Prajna, Tritiya Padaha. The Prajna has become Cheto Mukha. That means to say, it has become the whole Chetana is Prajna is turning towards Chetana. Now, this gives us an idea that Chetana is something which is behind all our experiences. Like, for example, my eyes are seeing experiences that my eyes are seeing or I'm seeing. But then that I is not whatever that is prana, I and intellect and all that. It must be Chetana behind it. That's why he says that now, in the deep sleep state or the dreamless sleep state, you turn to Cheton Mukha. That means to say, you turn towards Chetana. That's why it has become like Ananda Bhoga. So in the deep sleep state, what happens is that it gives us an idea that you are withdrawing from the manifest world outside and its own subtle form in the form of dream, but it turns towards the Chetana, Cheton Mukha. And that's what Prajna. This is what is Tritiya Padaha. This is what is the third experience that we have. How do you say that it is Chetonmukha? It is basically during that time you do not express that because normal course of time experiencer experience they are two separate things. That's why I experience. I experience the dream. I experience in the dream. There is I that is there watching the dream. In the wakeful state, of course, the wakeful eye is watching, looking at the wakeful object outside. But in Cheton Mukhaha, that means to say that I am one with the Ananda itself, that is supposed to be Chetana. Only thing is when I wake up, when I come out of it, I say, I had a wonderful sleep. That means to say, you have become that. It's not like experience and experience kind of a situation, but you become that. It's like the way that the the river becomes an ocean. There is no riverness is there in that, becomes an ocean. And this is all there in our experience. All these three things are there, everybody's experience. And that seems like that all these three things are over. That's what is the analysis of all three experiences. But what is this fourth one? Now that's what we need to, from these three experiences, we need to derive the fourth one. Or it gives a hint that when he said in this word that Cheton Mukhaha, that means to say yourself is turned towards Chetana. That Chetan is something very, that's what you are. You identify with that. So therefore, now how do I understand this? So let's go from various levels. Actually, now one more thing aspect about this is that it's a very subtle aspect. Whenever we are perceiving any object or experiencing any object, actually, that this prajna, that is our awareness, moves from the self to the object and back to the self. See, that means that it's a to and fro constant motion because of which that we are perceiving. Perceiving is an activity. Perceiving is not just one, it's a process. The process means basically it's an activity. So the subtle activity which is going on, that means to say, I'm going to an object and coming back to myself with the object information. But this happens so fast. In Jnana Yoga lectures of Swami Vivekananda, he mentions about that. It happens so fast that you don't see the difference between I watching some object outside. Though it is happening so fast that it is happening, only the object that I'm watching, and that's what happens to me, but I don't see that this movement that's happening. If you slow down, you can see that actually that, like for example, if you're really relaxing and you don't have any agenda, you're just sitting there and watching things that are happening. At that time, sometimes you can have a glimpse of it, saying that, yes, now I'm seeing this, I shifted my attention to something else, something else. That means to say, at any point of time, your mind can only do one task, one object. But only thing is, it moves so fast that we think that we are doing multitasking. There's no multitasking, only one task that we are doing. If you understand that, it becomes so important for us to see that I don't have to do multitasking. I just do one aspect of it, finish it, the other, third one. I don't have to unnecessarily make a mess of the whole thing, khichdi of the whole thing. So therefore, basically, it is my movement from the object to the uh, sensory organ, myself to the sensory organ, to through the sensory organ to the object, and this movement is going on constantly. Actually, that's what is ayasa. That's what is actually the strain that we have. What is the strain that we have in doing any activity is that we are constantly moving from subject to the object to subject to the object. This is the movement that's going on. That's why you feel tired. And particularly if you have to do so many things like that, the tiring is also so much more. You feel like just stopping everything and sitting down doing nothing. That means basically that this ayasa is something which we can come out of it. So, and that's what Shankara describes about that in this particular chapter. It says that एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघनः एव आनन्दमयः आनन्दभुक् चेतोन्मुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः. So chetonmukha prajna. This is something where the mind is not moving from the dukkha, the suffering that we have from moving from constantly from the self to the object to the self and all that, that is being removed, and that's what is the state of ananda. The real ananda is this moment is gone away. That's what is the state of ananda. Away from ananda is that you are constantly working. You are not relaxing. That is what happens in the case of ananda. That's the reason why I keep saying this particular thing. Particularly, this moment happens because of your intellect. We intellectualize a lot of things, and intellect actually divides and then goes to the details of it, critical aspect of it, and all that. That's the reason why I say that intellect is such a powerful tool that don't abuse the intellect. Only it is necessary use it. Otherwise, if somebody wants to use the intellect and then take a decision, give him free hand, let him take a decision. You don't have to worry about it. Because why do you want to have a burden of continuously doing that? But some people are like that. They are so caught up in the intellect. The ego of intellect is so strong that they want to put their nose in everything that is there. So leave it alone. Let the other people take care of it, and then you just be restless. There is no question of. That's why in Jnana Yoga we say that go beyond the choices, because choice is something which is intellect functions. Freedom from the choice is the real freedom. This is what is Ananda Bhukti. That means to say, you're peaceful. So, this Ananda, that's why you have one with the Ananda now. Because this moment is not there, you become merged into Ananda, like the way river becomes the ocean. So that's why in the Upanishad, the next mantra says that Esha Sarveshwara. This is what is Sarveshwara. That means whatever that happens is from that particular state. That's why we said that is the causal state. Deep sleep state, dreamless sleep state is a causal state because Sarveshwara, the whole creation is coming from that. Sarvajnaha. Sarvajna, often people think that he knows everything. It's not the question of knowing everything. Sarvajna is that whatever that is supposed to be the knowledge that comes from there. In other words, that an engineer sleeps, go to deep sleep, and a doctor goes to deep sleep, a mother goes to deep sleep, a child goes to deep sleep, and that Prajnana Ghana is one and the same thing. That means there, all that knowledge is there. But when you get up, what is picked up? What is the knowledge that you require? You pick it up and come out of it. So Sarveshwara Sarvajnaha. All the jnana is there he has, and therefore from that you pick up. In fact, it's a very when you look at this statement and you try to compare with your own experience in the day-to-day life, you can see that. Like if I say something, if it you feel convinced about it, if I give a logic and you feel convinced, why do you feel that you're convinced actually? It's basically that that knowledge which I gave is already there within me. And it matches with that. Ah, yeah, what you said is right. You see, that very acceptance that it comes from you shows that you have that already within you. Therefore, you accept it. Obviously, in fact, many times say obviously. Why do you say obviously? Because it matches with what I have already, what I know already. Yes, it matches with that. Actually, that's how the whole science progress is that whatever that you have, it reveals itself. Whatever that's there within you, it comes out there. So where is the Sarvajna? The Sarvajna is within you. And that matches with that Sarvajna, that's why you express that kind of thing. Oh yeah, that's right. I can understand that. What you are saying is, I relate with that. It becomes your concept because it is there within you. So Yesha Sarveshwara, Yesha Sarvajna. Sarvajna in the sense that whether any particular knowledge you take it, you match with what is there inside with you. And say, yeah, like a music which matches with you. Wow, such a beautiful melodious music. You said that. Why did you say that? Because it matches with already music that's there with it. And if it doesn't match with that, you say, Babre, I don't know why this fellow is singing. See, that basically it's not matching with you. So Sarvajna is there within you, and Sarveshwara is within you. And where is this Sarveshwara Sarvajna? Because by the time it comes to the manifest, I said, manifest is already defined. Manifest is not undefined. Undefined position only deep sleep state. Right? It is such a wonderful thing. It's like you are Brahman yourself. And you are that Brahman from with the creation. That's why you say that Esha Sarveshwara, Esha Sarvajna, and Esha Antaryami. He knows everything. So you know everything, and you are that. Esha Antaryami, Esha Yonihi. This is the very important aspect of it. You are the embryo. Yoni is that embryo. Anything that is there, your deep sleep state is the embryo. Esha Yonihi, Sarvasya Prabhavapya Bhuta. That means everything manifests and receives. That means it manifests and then goes into unmanifest. Prabhavapya api prabhava api. That means they manifest and unmanifest bhuta. Everything comes from that deep sleep state. You go to that deep sleep state from which everything comes up and out. But very important aspect is that prajnana ghanaha. That means it is in the form of a solidified state. In that sense, that it is something which is where that you keep all your uh, desires, etc., etc., in the solidified form that you keep it. Your vasana, samskaras, everything is there in the solidified form. So it is still there. So therefore, that it is not yet completely you are free from that. It's in the solidified form, but it can manifest, it can come back. It is there. So that is what it shows that is there a way that I can be without these things? Because these are also something which is acquired from outside. These are all the things which are required from outside. My vasana, samskaras, all but world outside. And I'm pure from these things. It's like the way the sky has clouds, but the sky is not tainted by the clouds. I'm that one behind it. So therefore, that there is one more state that is positive. See, because of this only, that's it. This is not complete. Though it is Sarveshwaraha, Sarvajnaha, Esha Antaryami, see, all that adjectives which are supposed to be from Brahman is given to the deep sleep state. That's why some people say deep sleep is so wonderful. Why don't you allow us to sleep? Why do you wake us up in the Brahma Muhurta and ask us to meditate this and that? Two things that is there. One is that you are not the master of sleep. It's not in your hands. When you want to sleep, sleep does not happen. When you don't want sleep to happen, it will happen. See, that means master himself not there. State is there, but master himself is not there. The second important aspect is that that state is something which is somewhere. It is in between the wakeful dream states and just comes somewhere and then goes. It's a passing reference. It's not yourself. In fact, if it is not a passing reference, then finish. Ram Nam Satya, you will not wake up. So therefore, it's a passing reference. And basically, as passing reference are the wakeful and dream states. So therefore, that these three states are passing references on you. But unfortunately, what happens is we identify so much with the wakeful state, and all these everything goes on in the wakeful state. We think that wakeful state is absolute. The other states, however much that we read everything, all this, we don't see that the fourth state, that on which this projection is the wakeful state, on which the projection is the dream state and the deep sleep state. Arjuna is talking from the body level. Krishna is talking from the Turiya level. Jagrata state, Arjuna is talking about. Krishna is talking about the Turiya, the fourth state. That's why Krishna says, Ache, Joya Madah, Joya Makle, Jo. I mean, you cannot kill this, you will not be killed. That means Atman is not something which can be killed, which can be down, which can be this, all that it says. For him, the Atman is something which is supposed to be the fourth state, Turiya. But Arjuna is talking from the first state. That's why we say that Arjuna Uvacha, whereas in Krishna he talks about, he says Bhagavan Uvacha. He's from that state. So not only that Krishna has gone to that state, many times people get into that state. It happens to us. So that's why this sutra is very important, saying that Esha Sarveshwara, Esha Sarvajna, Esha Antaryami, Esha Yoni, Sarvasya Prabhavapya Bhutana. So this sutra is very important. Actually, that completes the wakeful, dream, and sleep state. So this is what is basically the first chapter in Mandukya Upanishad. And afterwards, immediately, the Gaudapada tries to explain these three states in the form of Karika. He is not yet got to the fourth state. I just concluded that there is a fourth state, just gave a hint, but Gaudapada is still in the state. Atyaite shlokaha bhavantu. And then these shlokas come, what about Bahishprajnaha Vibhur Vishwaha Antaprajnaha Taijasa Ghanaprajyastada Prajna Eka Eva Tirtha Smrutaha. So Antaprajna, he says that Bahishprajna Vibhur Vishwaha. And then Antaprajna Taijasa. That means the outside world is an experience of the world outside, commonplace. We can exchange the idea. And Antaprajnaha Taijasaha. Taijasa, your own emotion, your own individuality that brings about this Taijasa. That's why it's your experience. This is Antaprajnaha. Ghana Prajnaha Tada Prajnaha. The solidified Prajna is what is Prajnasthiti and Esheva Chidastaha. These are the three things belonging to the transaction that we have. Strutaha. That's what is the idea. Sandhanascha, this is what is the Shankaracharya's commentary. Thanatraya Vyatiriktam Ekatvam Shuddham Asangatvam Cha Siddham Ityabhiprayaha Mahamatmabhi Drishtanta Shrotam. The idea is this way, that all these three states are so totally independent. That means you cannot exchange from one to the other. It's absolutely independent. It has got its own complete transaction. It's a fullness in itself. Your wakeful state is a fullness in itself. Dream is a fullness. Sleep is a fullness state. It's complete by itself. It can, it caters to everything that's there within you as much as the living experience. It's in that way, wakeful state living experience, of course, we don't have to prove anything. But the same way, dream state experience is a complete in itself. That means to say, in the dream, whatever that is there, while you are in the dream, you don't need a support of anything else. You are complete in itself. You are dreaming, and then everything is there in the dream. And then your hunger is there, and then food is also comes there. You eat the food. Suddenly, when we are eating the food, something comes up and just throws away the food right in front of the face. But there's a story that comes in the case of one of the kings, I think it was Janaka or something that he says that he came out to be some king and he came out to be beggar on the street. He was there and then hungry and there's nothing to eat, nothing to, and he was dying. He was so frustrated, the dream. And then suddenly he came across one bowl of food that is there ready for him. Ah, he was very happy. At least a bowl of food is available there. And he takes that bowl and then about to eat that, suddenly a eagle comes and then knocks away that food, takes away that food. And then that incident, that eagle coming and taking away that food, he wakes up. And then he's so frustrated, shattered, and all that. And then says, what happened to my food? I said, Maharaj, you are very, everything is there waiting for you to get up and then see the everything is there. No, but I said, I missed that food that is there. I was so hungry and I can't even wait for this food. I want that food only. People started laughing at him. So that means to say it was so real, so clear, everything is there. Full, complete in itself. And like the way in the wakeful state we have frustrations, dream also that we have frustrations. The same way deep sleep also is a complete in itself. While you are in the deep sleep, you are full, you are complete. In fact, nothing outside matters to you when you are in deep sleep. An example for that is while driving, people fall asleep. See what happens. Nothing matters. No gear, no this thing, accelerator, no traffic outside. Just bump into anything, you prepare to die. That's the deep sleep state. It's complete in itself. So therefore, essentially, what it happened in my while I was at engineering college, I was so tired. And I sat in the front row in my lecture class, and particularly my lecture class was so boring. Some teachers are there who really the lectures are lullaby. It was so boring. Just I kept my hand under my chin, so nobody noticed. I closed my eye. Finish. Such a deep sleep, no dream, no nothing. Suddenly, for a minute later, I woke up. Just 1 minute. I felt really refreshed. Woke up. I saw that teacher has gone. Next lecture, teacher came and he also went away. The third lecture was happening. My God. Then the time also stops. Nothing matters to you. It happens to all of us. So therefore, what happens is that it's complete. You're satisfied within that, in that sense. So all these three things are that they don't borrow anything from the world outside. They all are satisfied in themselves. But they're satisfied within themselves for who? Because if you have a separate wakeful man is there in the wakeful state, wakeful person is there in the wakeful state, dream person is there in the dream state. Similar deep sleep state, there is an experience is there. Means basically that experience that became merged with the experience. That's what is the state that you are. But all these three things are there. But whose sake it is happening? See, it is not happening for the wakeful state man. Wakeful state man, wakeful state gives the experience of satisfaction. So therefore, that these three are independent
Raghuramji, you got muted.
So these three states are supposed to be independent states of who? Of you. So therefore, you are not a state. You are somebody who goes into this state, one state to second to third. It's like this is like the actor goes into one role to another role to third role. In various drama, that is happening. But he identifies with that role so much that, in fact, if he doesn't identify with that, he will not pursue. He will not be able to perform it so wonderfully. He has to be identified with that, but at the same time, he separates from that. So therefore, that all these three states are very important for us, and we reach that state because we want to play the roles in that state, so that we need to identify with that, but at the same time, we have to be separated from that, the fourth state. So therefore, that this gives us an idea that you are that not identified with that, but you are separated from this. And do we have that experience of that fourth state where you are neither sleeping nor wakeful nor dreaming? So this is that if we did not have that experience, we wouldn't have been alive. It must be there. It's like the way that you change the gear from one to the another gear, the third gear. It always crosses through a neutral. The neutral is a state where none of these things are there. And many times what happens is that you go to the sleep state, deep sleep. You want to wake up, but before waking up, you go to that state, and from there that you go to the dream state. So these states will come one after the other. Not that there is any order, not that any preference, but then they are there, which is there, happening on you. So that's what is the fourth state. Dakshinakshi mukhe vishwo मनस्यस्य सुतैजसः आकाशे च हृदि प्राज्ञः स्थिता देहे व्यवस्थितः. Next mantra says that घनप्रज्ञस्था प्राज्ञ एष एव त्रिधा smrutaha. These three things are the one that we have. The next sutra, Dakshinakshi mukhe dehi vishwo manasasya taijasaha akashe cha pradip prajnaha trita dehe vyavasthitaha. So, now these are the three different levels. One is that eyes, Dakshinakshi is basically the idea of the right eye, or the right eye is supposed to be of all the senses that are there going to the world outside. Of all the senses, most powerful sense is the eyes. The information from the eyes is the extraordinary information. In fact, just imagine that if eye were not there, how much of information is lost. So 70% of our information is through the eyes. The rest of the sensory organs will be only 30% of the information. Eyes will give the most important information. But at the same time, this eye is so powerful that many times it actually envelops, it camouflages other senses. Though they are very powerful senses, they camouflage. Like, for example, you know that the dog has such a wonderful smell. Anywhere, any distance, the dog recognizes the smell. Like I go to somebody's house, Prabha's house, and then the Prabha's dog will stay with me for about an hour and all that. When I come back home, my dog will immediately become suspicious about me. One watches me from a distance and says that, look, I think you are cheating me. You went to another dog. I have to make an excuse. Say, Baba, the friendly dog, low, all those things. I have to make friendship again with him. That means they have such powerful senses. And we are much evolved. So we also must be having such a powerful sense called smell. But because that eyes take over that particular power of sense called smell, that we don't, our smell has receded. You know, a wonderful thing that, you know, I was, when I was in college days, Bhopal, I used to go for satsang in some place where we all used to meet. And there's a group of blind people also used to come for satsang. And they said, Raghuramji, why don't you come to our quarters? Government quarters. I went to the government quarters in the evening, 7 o'clock. And then when I went there, I have an idea of government quarters where the switch is there. Because the house was dark, so I was searching for the switch. And then those people, they said, Raghuramji, there's no bulb there, there's no light there, don't search for the switch. You walk for about 3 steps ahead, take a left turn and come inside that we're all sitting in the hall, and there is for you. Suddenly I felt that they're with eyes and I'm with the blind. I'm blind. I walked there and sat down. Okay, the satsang was going on. We were talking about all this stuff. Then I was looking at my watch because is it the time to go? Or to go back to the hostel and all that. They said I was looking for the time. Then that person said, Sir Raghuram, it is just about 5 minutes ago, 8 o'clock. Another half an hour you can leave. He said, how did you know that it is 8 o'clock? And the answer that he gave was something which startled me. He said that every hour earth changes the smell. So that is, smelling sensation is so powerful in them because they don't have eyes. They say that blind people, they sing much better because their sense of music is something which is higher. Because our eyes are powerful that it comes down. So all the other senses become so powerful with us. So the senses are powerful in the wakeful state. So that's why Dakshinakshi Mukhe Vishwaha. That means say Vaishwa, Taijasa, Vishwa. That means Vaishwanara. Basically what the information given by the senses. We look for the sense information. A very common thing that some sound occurs somewhere by the side. You turn around and see. And the car, you see that you are driving the car on the highway, and suddenly you hear that sound is there, or maybe some people assembled there, some accident took place. Oh, accident, okay. What happened? Something happened like that. But you are not satisfied unless you see that. You slow down the car, look through the window, see that, and everybody behind you honking at you. But they also stop. See, you want to see that. Eyes are very important. That's what it Dakshinakshi Mukhe. Your senses are very important in the wakeful state world outside. Vishwaha. There's another important aspect is also there. The senses, as important they are, and so much we are attached to the senses, it also becomes our attachment, our vasana. The senses can only give us the vasana. Your smell, your touching, your seeing, these are the things which can keep the vasana. Dakshinakshi Mukhe Vishwaha. Manasastu Taijasaha. Whatever that is in the manas is supposed to be the taijasa. Here the manas is the intellect that is there, where intellectualizing, analyzing, these are the things which are there in the taijasa. So taijasa, that means to say your inner world can create an object based on whatever the information that you give. That you say something which is that you hate, immediately it says, okay, I create an object which is that you hate. You are afraid of, creates an object which you are afraid of. Brings about a snake, brings about time. All that happens. Very funny thing. It brings about when you have fear, brings about an object of fear that you are falling from a cliff. There is no cliff, there is nothing that you fall. That's what I said last time. The fear of exam. Are sure he is a professor, but in spite of it, the dream, Taijasa brings about that you are in the exam hall and you cannot read whatever the question paper, you fail 0 marks in that. Taijasa creates Manasyasta Taijasa and Akashecha Hrudi Prajna Sitadehe Vyavasthitaha. Prajna is Akashastu Hriday. That means the Hriday Akasha. Hriday Akasha is where the feeling is there, where all the suppressed emotions are there. And you keep all the suppressed emotions, and from there that you come out, and that's what is prajna. And tatha dehe vyavasthitaha. This is the arrangement in the deha that we have. Let's understand that the hridaya is there, something where the causal state, Hriday is the causal state. From that, it uses the material from the mind, Taijasa, and then it comes into the wakeful state, Dakshinakshama. It creates all the impressions in the wakeful state. So the whole creation happens this way, exactly the same way that what we do it, like an idea that comes in the heart, and then we try to gather all that material for that. And then finally, we bring out a manifest world outside, a picture that you create. An artist creates an artwork. Basically, it is there deep inside his heart, and then manifested. He sees that. Others may not see that. It is that he sees. His feeling is the one which sees that heart. And then he brings out a manifested world outside. That's what is the story of like Michelangelo. Beautiful it is that a shop fellow, Michelangelo, goes to him and says, how much should I pay to give you this stone? And that was supposed to be uh, white stone, that is marble stone. And that fellow saying that this stone is coming in the way of my shop. I wanted to cart it out. I would like to pay. He said, no, I will pay you money. I'll take it away. The shop fellow was curious. Where do you want to take it? What do you want to take this for? He said, I'll call you when it is ready. He took it away. And a year later that he invites that shop fellow to come. And the fellow goes to the workshop of that Michelangelo. And it shows a beautiful picture where sculpture where the Mother Mary is sitting and then Jesus lying there in her lap. He said, what a beautiful image. He saw that such a beautiful image. Who made it? How did you make it? And all that. He said, the stone that was there lying down your shop. I saw that Jesus and Mother Mary in that stone. And they were praying, they were pleading me, can you please take away the unnecessary burden on top of her so that we can be relieved from that? See, what others cannot see it, that you could see it. And that's there in your Hridi. That means your heart has that picture. And that picture manifests with the help of all the objects outside and creates the world outside. So this is what is the connection between the gross, subtle, and the causal world. The world that we have, the same thing, it is there outside. Now let me go back to another idea that I said last time also I shared with that. I have a feeling and then I collect information, all those things, and then I give a manifestation to that in the world outside. What bhaktas do it in the what bhakti is there. The powerful heart that is there, that means the feeling that is there, is so powerful, it creates an object. It creates an imaginary object, that's what is subtle world. And I can see that. I was giving that example of, this. I was watching the long time ago, Padma Subramaniam's dance. And then she's extraordinary in Abhinaya. Even till today, she's like that. And she took the bow and arrow like in the hand, and then she draws the bow arrow and then leaves it. There is nothing, bow is not there, arrow is not there. But the movement that she made a feeling for me that as exactly she left the arrow and it went and hit the Ravan there, and the Ravan fell down. And I saw that, my God, in a simple moment, they can create that. This is what is basically the classes of Abhinaya they teach in the dance form, that you should create with object, you create an object out of it. So that means to say, the feeling is converted into object in the dance. How many times that they created that kind of a thing? I'll say in Ramayana, Mahabharata, how many people cried in front of TV? We know that it's happening on the TV, it's not reality, but that they give that kind of a reality in that. Your bhava can be so strong that it can mold your subtle form and the way outside. Similarly, I remember, there is one of our YB functions. We were there all sitting, and then one girl came and sang Innashtu Bekanna Hridaya Karama. It's a very lovely song. And when she sang, almost like 15 days, the song was ringing in my ear all the time. Whatever that I do, that was there in the background. The feeling is so powerful, so strong. And we are born with that feeling. Intellect does not come anywhere near that feeling. So therefore, that these bhaktas are the people created that kind of an image with that feeling inside about the God. Then what happens is that the Taijasa becomes more powerful compared to the Vaishvana. That means to say that a normal person, the dream that we see is less important than the less bright than the wakeful state. Whereas when it reverses, that means to say you are creating an image which is brighter than the world outside, 100 times more brighter than the world outside. That's what we call it as a vision. So pure heart with a pure intention behind it, you can create a vision of God. So that's why, as Swami as Ramdas has written the book, in quest of God, he shows how much of that he had quest. The next is in the vision of God. That means he sees the vision of the God. There are reports like that. In fact, in our Prashanti also, that Lakshmi Amma, Lakshmi Auntie we used to call her, she was the only person alone staying in Prashanti, and then she was totally in love with Balarama, the young Rama. And her devotion went to that extent. She would see the Rama walking in front of her, and she would say, "Hey Rama, don't go there, you will fall down, you'll do this." That means the world is there, and on that this is projected. These are what is called as the divisions. And this is where basically the whole of Bhakti, it all developed because of our Puranas. Purana stories are there. So therefore, this is what the creation takes place. Dakshinakshi mukhe dehi Vishwo manasastu taijasaha Akashe chakrati prajnaha titatehe yavasitaha. Akasha is, it's one way it is space, but the other thing is that it's a total freedom. The heart has the freedom to create. And that's what all these three states that we use these three states. Now, what happens is this Akasha holds everything. That's what Shankaracharya says, that Darshana Smarnaiki Manaspandite, whatever that we see, and then the memory that we have, and the analysis that we do, Darshana Smarna, Manaspandite, and it all happens in the Spandana in the form of mind. In fact, whatever that you see, senses give the input. If it is not Spandana in the mind, and then you don't see that, because many times many things happen in front of you, but you have no Spandana with that. Spandana means you resonate with that. Then Manaha, when it is Spandana, then only that you perceive. In fact, that's why I give instructions in the yoga also, that you see, when the teacher gives an instruction to do, that means to say, relax your toe muscles in Shavasana. Actually, whatever that the teacher says is not affecting you. The teacher gives instructions, and that does a spandana in your mind, that resonates in your mind, and that your mind is giving instructions to your body. Your body listens to your mind. So therefore, relaxation happens within you because your instruction that you give, not the teacher giving instruction. Teacher only guides you to give you instruction. That's why Guru is somebody who is supposed to give only the guidance, but otherwise you need to do it. Your instructions will take you to deeper level. Even if it is a tape recorder, if it is a recorded instruction that you give, the record is not the thing that's important, but you imitate that in your mind. That's the reason why a lot of times what happens is that the students, they're so dedicated, so devoted to the instructions of the teacher, that slowly what happens is that they also have similar kind of expression, similar voice, this, everything changes, transforms because of the feeling that you have. Intense feeling that you have creates that. So, Darshana Smaranaihi Manaspandite, Tadabhave, Hrudyaiva, Avisheshena Pratmana, Pranana, Avasthan. Avisheshena, that means to say, absolutely no discrimination behind it. There's no Visheshata. What happens is Darshana Smarnaihi Manaspandite Tatabhave. That means that when both these things are not there, that means wakeful state and dream state are not there, Tatabhave. All these things in the Hridi, in the prana form, it stays in the vibrations in your heart. So that is what is the deep sleep state is a state. Dreamless sleep is a state. It is prajnana ghana. That means to say everything is solidified in the form of one simple capsule within your heart. Whereas the real Brahman is something where this is not there. You are out of it. That's why it is said that a thief goes to deep sleep state, wakes up as a thief. A thief goes to meditation, wakes up as Brahmajnani. But in the state where he goes in deep sleep state, he is a Brahmajnani himself. He is equivalent to, that's what earlier sloka that is said, Vishwabhu, all those things that he says. Prajnana Ghanaha, when he says that Sarveshwara, Sarvajna is like God equivalent. That's why in our culture we say that when somebody is sleeping, don't injure him, don't abuse, because at that time when he's sleeping, he's God-like. That's why a child goes to deep sleep state, adult goes to deep sleep state. You can see the same sense of innocence on their face. They are just innocent like that because God-like. When they wake up, that is what all these things are in the form of seed, Prajnana Ghana and Hridaspandita Pranatmana. So that is why he quotes from the Mandukya Upanishad, who says that's the reason why everything goes into the prana state, which also normally I give just prana seva sarvan sambrunute. Everything goes in the state of prana and gives an expression from the prana. Prana seva yatan sarvan sambrunute. Esha sarveshwara, esha sarvan. Tajaso hiranyagandhyapa and lingam manaha manomaya ayam purushaha. This is what from Buddharnika says. So all these Upanishads state very clearly that the deep sleep state is nothing but your Brahmasthiti, Atmasthiti, wonderful state. Only thing is that you are not the master there. It happens if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But only thing is that in that state that everything is the Shidal form, we are not purified. That means all the dirt that is there, you put it in a seed and keep it inside. And then when that seed is completely broken, when the seed does not give rise to anything, that's what Patanjali gives us, that Nirbija Samadhi. That Samadhi state where no more bija is available, no more spouting takes place, no more vasanas are there. And that is the fourth state, what Patanjali talks about. That's what is this Upanishad also talks about. Before go to that, whatever that Gaudapada tries to contribute to us in the thought process, we'll see that. And then the last mantra, which is supposed to be the Turiya. That's what is the fourth state. It is called as fourth state because the moment you give a name to it, it belongs either wakeful or dream or deep sleep. So therefore, didn't want to give any name to it. He said only Turiya. That's the fourth. So therefore, that let's see what is that Turiya. We try to understand and try to see how much that we go to that. Now, very important aspect that I would like to bring about is that we say that nourishment in the wakeful dream and deep sleep state. And nourishment to who? And that's what is the fourth state. So I will talk about that. Any nourishment that you give to that fourth state in the wakeful dreamer, it is supposed to be spiritual sadhana, spiritual journey. So in other words, the food that you take can be a spiritual journey. The household activities that you do can be a spiritual journey. And the interaction that you with the people can be a spiritual journey. That's what basically the whole life itself is towards that spiritual journey. We'll understand that when we understand this Turiya, the fourth step. So I'll stop it here today. And next time when we meet, we'll start with the questions. And I hope I'm clear about all these three states. Thank you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Raghuram ji.
Welcome.
Raghuramji, one doubt, not regarding this. Which next Upanishad we are going to start after
Oh, here there is a lot to do. A
into
lot to go about this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because when you said last sutra, I was just wondering that.
Yeah, in the Upanishad, it is the last one.
All right, all right.
Otherwise, commentaries are there and then goes into the details of it. And this is the Upanishad which has given us contributed for Laye, Sambodh, Chittam, etc. All those things are there. So these are the practical things that this Upanishad also added to its discussions. That's why we see that.
Okay, Raghuramji. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you all. See you all.
See you all next week.
Yeah.